if you are just tuning in, this is brand new info that was put on Plarium's forum. New champs coming for May. We're expecting these to come out around with update 4.20. So there's 10 champs here. Now, it's important to note, because I looked at this quickly, that Ruel Huttonmaster is on here, which happens to be the Fragment champ. So we don't really know yet if the fusion for Ruel is going to be like Brogni, where you have to collect fragments for champs, summon them, level them, ascend them, and then summon, or if it's going to be like Yoshi where it's all fragments. We don't know that yet, but here are 10 champs coming to raid, and we are noticing that a lot of them are Shadowkin. So the first one is a Geomancer, who's going to be an epic force dwarf. Okay, so we're getting another epic dwarf. Tremor Staff. Attacks all enemies, has a 30% chance of placing a 50% decrease accuracy for 2 turns. Creeping Petrify. Removes all debuffs from a target enemy and then attacks them. Steals all buffs instead if the target's under HP burn. And also says reduces the cooldown of Quicksand Grasp by 2 turns if the target is killed while under HP burn. So that's gonna be the next skill here, is Quicksand Grasp. The basic fully depletes the target's turn meter, places HP burn and a weaken for 3 turns. Now Ascended, so Quicksand Grasp is going to be the Ascended skill. Fully depletes the target's turn meter, fills the champ's turn meter by the amount the target loses, then also does HP burn and a weaken, so that's gonna be the Ascended. Stone Guard is the passive. Decreases damage all allies receive by 15% and reflects damage onto each enemy under HP burn. Whenever this champion's attack, deflects 30% of the damage instead. And the auras increases ally HP in all battles by 25%. So we see that this guy is meant to work with HP burn, right? Like his first one is decreases accuracy, but he steals buffs, he does a weaken, he does reflect. Like, so there's some things here that look like they're meant to work with HP burn. So if you got Mordecai from the last update that we just had, that seems like he could work well with that too. Next is Ruel the Huttonmaster. So this is going to be the Fragment Guy, and to me he looks like a moth. I'm not sure what you guys think. Looks like a moth. Legendary Spirit attack type champ for the Dark Elf faction. Vile Arrows attacks an enemy, 50% chance of placing decreased defense, and transfers a random debuff from this champion to the target if the target's under a hex. A2 is Unleash the Hut. Attacks all enemies, places an extra hit on enemies under a hex, ignores 25% of each target's defense if there's 4 more enemies under hex. Stalk Prey places a 50% increased accuracy buff on all allies and places a hex on enemies. Also places Perfect Veil and fills his turn meter. His passive is called Marked Query, decreases speed of enemies under hex by 5%. It increases resistance of enemies by 10%. Also increases damage enemies under hex received by 10%. And his auras increases ally crit rate in all battles by 20%. So we talked about this guy before. He looks like he's going to pair well with Thea, the Tomb Angel, if you have her from Doom Tower. And we'll have to see if they're going to continue to release other champs that have this hex kind of ability too. So I've been kind of calling him Ruel the Hex Master. Next one is called Helior. Legendary Bannerlord. Affinity is force, and he's a defense type champ. So we have a new legendary Buckethead, a Bannerlord. Sunshine Halberd. Attacks an enemy and increases this champ's defense by 5% if this attack is a crit. Also heals this champ by 75% of defense after attacking if defense has already been increased by 20%. Solar Blessing. Attacks all enemies. Places a shield buff on allies for 2 turns equal to 20% of damage inflicted. So we have another champ that does an AoE and does shields. Harsh Light. Transfers all debuffs from all allies to a target enemy and then attacks with the default skill. Converts this champion's resistance into additional accuracy when using the skill. Passive's called Intercessor. Whenever an ally that has 2 or more debuffs is attacked, this champion absorbs 30% of the damage inflicted on that ally. And the auras increases ally resistance in all battles by 60. Yeah, so this guy here, his passive, and it doesn't look like there's a cooldown with that. It just says whenever an ally has 2 or more debuffs is attacked, the champion absorbs 30% of damage inflicted on that ally instead. This one's called Gorlos Helma. Epic Spirit Affinity attack type champ. Hungry Shafts is the A1. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit fills this champion's turn meter by 10% if the target's under decreased defense, HP burn, or decreased accuracy. Raging Hunger. Attacks all enemies and does decreased defense. Gnashing Fangs. Attacks an enemy, has a 75% chance of placing HP burn and decreased accuracy, and also fills the turn meter if the attack is a crit. And Auras increases ally attack in Doom Tower by 30%. So a demon spawn, as if we need more demon spawns, right? There's a demon spawn. And now we get into Shadowkin. We have some more Shadowkin coming, so guys, keep in mind, they did say that they're going to keep kind of giving us new Shadowkin. Then when there's enough, a Shadowkin faction war will actually open up for them too, okay? So Hatatsu is an epic magic defense Shadowkin. Red River attacks an enemy, has a chance of placing a leech. Rushing Death attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of placing a decreased attack. Oni Icon places 60% increased defense on allies and a 50% continuous heal. Spirit Touched is the passive and removes 1 random debuff from this champion at the start of each turn. Will remove Stun, Sleep, Freeze, Fear, True Fear, and Provoke before other debuffs. And the Auras increases ally defense in all battles by 25%. So that gives us another kind of continuous heal in the Shadowkin, which is going to be nice too. The passive is nice. Removes a random debuff from this champion at the start of every turn, and it removes these major ones before it does anything else. Chany. Epic Magic Attack. Again, another Shadowkin. Insidious Arrow. Attacks an enemy, has a 40% chance of placing poison sensitivity. Soulfire. Places a 50% increased accuracy and increased attack buff on this champ for 2 turns, then attacks. Places HP burn if the attack is a crit. Shower of Misery. Attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of increase in the duration of all debuffs. Sure Shot is a passive, immune to decreased accuracy. Increases this champ's crit rate by 0.05% for every point of accuracy that they have. And Auras increases ally accuracy in all battles by 40. Genbo the Dishonored. Epic Void Shadowkin. So here's another Void one now too. Twin Soul Swords. Attacks an enemy 2 times. Each hit steals any increased attack buff. And each hit also has a 30% chance of stealing a random buff. The increased attack buff steal cannot be resisted. Heartless Blizz. Attacks all enemies. 80% chance of decrease in buffs by 1 turn, and the effect cannot be resisted on crits. Sword Trance. Places a 30% increased crit rate and 30% increased crit damage buff on the champ for 3 turns, and then grants an extra turn. Flinty is the passive. Immune to decreased attack. Ignores unkillable buffs when attacking under an increased attack buff. That's interesting. So this one gets an ignore unkillable, but has to have an increased attack buff on. So it's a conditional ignore unkillable. And the Auras increases ally speed in arena battles by 20%. All right, so we're expecting, so this guy does have a speed aura for arena. And it looks like that's what he's there for, right? Looks like they want him to be using arena, particularly with this passive, that he gets this ignore unkillable when he has an increased attack buff on. Buren Giri is an epic force defense Shadowkin. Battering Skull. Attacks an enemy, has a 20% chance of placing a provoke. Bakemono Charge. Attacks all enemies, has a chance to stun. Frightful War Cry. Places a strengthened buff on allies. It places a shield on allies with less than 50% HP. The shield buff is equal to 15% of target's max HP. Soulmonger is the passive. Heals this champion by 50% of max HP whenever an ally or an enemy dies. And Auras increases ally resistance in all battles by 40. So that's Buren Geary. Next is Marauder. So Marauder is a rare spirit HP type Shadowkin. Kanabu Jutsu. Attacks an enemy. So this is the Ascended ability. Attacks an enemy and has a chance of placing a stun. Reckless Sweep. Attacks all enemies, has a 50% chance of placing decreased attack. Roaring Challenge. Has a chance of placing a Provoke. Places a shield buff on this champ for 2 turns equal to 20% of max HP, and also places reflect damage on all allies for 2 turns. And its auras increases ally HP in all battles by 15%. Vagabond. This is the last one. Vagabond is a rare spirit support Shadowkin. Dreamer's Curse. Attacks an enemy, has a chance of placing a sleep. Ominous Visit. Attacks an enemy and has a chance of placing block buffs. Also fills this champ's turn meter by 15% and fills turn meter of the ally with the highest turn meter by 15%. Join the Troop. Basic fills the turn meter of allies by 15%, and this is an Ascended ability. Fills the turn meter of allies by 15% and places an increased attack buff. And Auras increases ally accuracy in arena battles by 30. So this one is Vagabond, is the last one in this new group here. Now, I mean, you guys are right. Like, a bunch of these Shadowkin definitely do look like demons. So perhaps they were working on demons for a while and then, you know, decided to make them Oni and then put them in the Shadowkin. You know? So here's this guy. So I would love to know what you guys think. This is the last of it. Now, we do also have the new mission champ that's coming as well too. I'm actually surprised the info's not here for us to see him. I'm actually kind of surprised about that, but we do also have a new mission champ coming as well. I would love to know what you guys think of these champs. Are you excited about them? Do you think they did a good job? Are you just burnt out and you don't want any more champs? I would love to know what you guys think. Are there any in particular that really stand out to you? But so here's the new champs. Yeah, you guys aren't very excited about them. I mean, what I do like is they did add more Shadowkin, which is nice because we need them. Now, what I do like too is, which one? This guy. Gorlos Helma. So what I like about this guy, Demon Spawn, and so this one is an AoE decreased defense. Now, offhand, I can't think. Do we have another Demon Spawn that does an AoE decreased defense? I can't recall. But I think that's kind of cool. So this could be really nice, especially if you need a Spirit Affinity decrease defense champ for AoE. Only Allure. Okay, there we go. Allure has a little one, so that could be nice then. Is at least we're gonna have this guy as well that will do the AoE decreased defense. Demon Spawn doesn't have an AoE decreased defense at 60%. Yeah, so this one, so that could be really nice. Is Gorlos Helma with his Raging Hunger having an AoE decreased defense could prove to be useful, especially if that faction doesn't really have them. Like you guys are saying Allure has one, but it's little. So that could be really nice. But I think so far, I mean, that guy's probably one of the ones that sticks out the most to me too.